Hello friends, in my last video I had given you a critical appreciation of Vikram Seth's writing style, and in this video I will read out a poem titled Rakhi by Vikram Seth from his very first collection of poems, Mappings. If you remember, I had already told you that all the poems that find a place in the collection Mappings were all influenced by his stay in England. These poems deal with primarily familial ties, issues of expatriation, as well as they bring to light the poet's acceptance of his detachment, his physical and emotional detachment from his families and his roots. This particular poem, Rakhi, displays Vikram Seth's innocent and tender feelings for his sister and is remarkable because it adroitly expresses a world of meaning with an economy of words. So, without wasting our time, let's read the poem. Rakhi. I had forgotten the time of year your Rakhi came, showing how things have changed and are the same. It was a contract of trust with more than you. I know I left home too many years ago. I placed the golden thread across my wrist. That done, struggle with my left hand to tie it on. You should have done that. I too have lost half the right. I promise you your gift in 78. Those future numerals look curious, and your brother too will be strange when next we meet each other. How we must both have changed, only the custom stays, educing from the past the undying days. So, as you can see, the poem talks of the relationship between a brother and a sister, revolving around the pious occasion of the social custom of an Indian sister tying the knot of affection across a brother's wrist on the holy day of Rakhi Purnima. Now, what gets highlighted in the poem is the fact that the Rakhi is not a mere band or a string. The Rakhi is not a mere string on a brother's wrist. It is rather a bond, that survives the skies of time and distance. So it is rather a bond that survives the skies of time and distance, right? That is why the poet says it was a contract of trust. So, as far as my interpretation goes, as I understand or as I feel the Rakhi to be, it is rather, in my words, it is rather a promise shared between the brother and the sister, the shared between the siblings to love and protect each other forever. The poet says it is a contract of trust more than you. Why does he say more than you? Because it stands for, the Rakhi symbolizes selfless love. Okay, the brother thinks of the sister first, and similarly the sister always thinks of the brother first. Okay, they don't think about themselves, they don't think about protecting themselves first, but protecting each other. Okay, so it stands for, it symbolizes selfless love. Now the beautiful opening of the poem shows how directly the poet hits the theme that plays the pivotal part, distancing. Okay, the opening lines reveal how directly the poet hits the main theme of the poem. And what is the main theme? Distancing, right? It is a phenomenon. Distancing is a phenomenon that brings with it forgetfulness and the fading away of memories. That is why the poet starts with the words, I had forgotten the time of the year. So the poet doesn't remember as to when the Rakhi had arrived. Okay, so as I said, the opening lines, they reveal how directly the poet hits the theme, the main theme of the poem, distancing, which is a phenomenon that brings with it forgetfulness and fading away of memories. The opening lines may also suggest that the poet or the speaker is a very busy man, engrossed in his own world, so much so that he fails to keep a track of the dates and the time that pass by. And amidst such a situation arrives a Rakhi from his sister all the way from India. And immediately this Rakhi makes the poet realize something, a very deep philosophy of life. So the Rakhi immediately makes the poet realize, the Rakhi makes the poet realize a very deep philosophy of life. And what is that? He immediately realizes that though time had changed quite a few things in and around him, yet there was still something that remained unchanged and untouched by time, and that was the familial ties, the love shared among the family members. This love remains unchanged. This is such a bond that sees no boundaries. Okay, it remains unchanged with time. Time cannot change the familial ties and values. So let's read the lines once again. He says, your Rakhi king showing how things have changed. So the Rakhi made him realize that many things had changed. See, he had forgotten the dates and the time and the year, like what was the time, what was the occasion. Immediately the Rakhi arrives and he realizes something, that quite a few things have changed, but there are and are the same. There are still certain things which remain unchanged, and that is the love, the family values. Okay, so you see, these lines, these opening lines, they carry a message. Okay, they echo a message that familial ties never get loose with time and distance, right? So what does the poet realize? Familial ties never get loose with time and distance. Perhaps family is the only relation existing on earth which is unconditional. Okay, family is the only relation which is unconditional. So these are the things which the poet realizes. Okay, all right. Now, in these lines, you can also see that there is an acceptance of change on the poet's side. Okay, the poet accepts that things have changed. Okay, time changes everything. The world changes, and so do we. And together with this change, together with this physical change, because with time we grow up, right? So with this physical change, there is yet another change that keeps on playing its part, and that is the transformation that comes forth within ourselves. How? Our thoughts change, our demands change, our dreams change, and thus our personalities change as well. And that is not only, as I said, not only in terms of our bodies, but in terms of emotions too. Now, you can also take a different stand on the opening lines, on these lines. How? You can also say that these lines denote another fact, and that is, see, in today's world of globalization and technology, where we have to stay away from our families owing to the practical needs of survival, the religious and the social customs, though they continue to be practiced, yet they have also modified or molded their forms of practices. As in here, in this poem, the sister used to tie the Rakhi with her own hands previously, but now, due to the physical distancing, she had to send the epitome of love and trust to her brother by post. Right? So this is how you can interpret the opening stanza of the poem. And then just see how beautifully the poem, the poet moves on to talk about this particular incident. Okay? He says, I place the golden thread across my wrist. That done, struggle with my left hand to tie it on. The poet moves on to give a pictorial description of the way in which he had to tie the Rakhi all by himself. So in the next stanza, what does the poet do? The poet gives a pictorial description of the way in which he had to tie the Rakhi all by himself. Now there is another interesting fact over here that you will find. He calls the Rakhi to be a golden thread. Okay, he calls the Rakhi to be a golden thread. Now why do you think that he calls the Rakhi as a golden thread? Because you see, gold is probably the most expensive metal found on earth, and most interestingly, it is also considered to be a symbol of purity and piousness all over the world. So gold is considered to be a symbol of purity and piousness all over the world. Likewise, a Rakhi is also extremely expensive to a brother. It is rather priceless, right? So I would say a Rakhi is priceless to every brother. That epitomizes a relation which will remain pure, innocent, and holy for generations. Okay, so it is priceless and it epitomizes a relation that will continue to be pure, innocent, and holy through generations. All right, okay. So this is the reason why the poet describes the Rakhi as a golden thread, and he moves on. He goes on describing the way. Okay, he shows us, he tells us how he had to struggle to tie the Rakhi all by himself. Now over here the poet not only describes the way in which he had to tie, he rather echoes something. He echoes a message to the world that he was really facing a tough time in a foreign land, miles away from his family, detached from his roots. So these lines, they not only talk about the way in which the poet had to tie the Rakhi by himself, but also, rather, I would say it actually carries this message that the poet had to face tough time in a foreign land, miles away from his family, detached from his roots. Over here, he also describes how haphazardly the ritual was being carried out, because he, as a brother, had to carry out the ritual all by himself without his sister by his side. And surprisingly enough, he had also forgotten to send a gift to his sister that year. Now, herein echoes the poet's cry for his acceptance of his physical as well as his emotional detachment, his emotional distance. While on one hand, his sister does not forget to maintain the auspicious ritual, the poet, on the other hand, forgets or fails to send her a gift. Now, if you look at the poem closely, if you read the poem closely, you will find, or you can feel, that the poem is more like a letter from the poet to his sister, isn't it? The poem has got a typical letter-like structure, letter-like tone, letter-like form of language. So as if he is writing his emotions out to his sister in that letter, through that letter, emotions surrounding that particular Rakhi. Now over here in this part of the poem, the poet sounds apologetic, okay? The poet sounds apologetic. That is, he feels sorry. Now why? Why does he feel sorry, or why does he feel apologetic? He feels apologetic for not having remembered about that pious occasion, about that very, very special day. Okay? But nevertheless, he fails to promise his sister to give her a gift when they meet in the year 1978. All right. In the poem, he mentions of this particular date, 1978. Now, why do you think he mentions about this date, or why do you think this date is significant over here? Nothing but this, it shows that the poet is talking about a future time. Why future? Because the poet was staying in England at the point when he had written this poem. Okay, he had done his higher studies. He had graduated from Corpus Christi College, Oxford, in the year 1975. All right, the poet graduated in the year 1975, and hence it might be so that the poet had a chance of meeting with his family in the year 1978 once he finished his studies. Okay, so it may be so that he had a chance of returning to his home in the year 1978. So what does he tries to say over here? He actually wants to convey the message to his sister that she will surely get a gift, she will surely receive her gift once he returns. Okay, once he returns to his home, maybe in the year 1978. Now, quite interestingly, you will see that over here the poet says that those future numerals look curious, and your brother too will be strange when we meet each other. Okay, so why do you think the poet says that this future, okay, the future numerals are so very curious? Numerals over here means this particular date. Okay, he is talking about this year 1978. Now that's a future date, and that looks very curious. Why? Can time be itself curious? No. So time was not curious. So who was actually curious? The poet as well as his family. Okay, so both the poet and his family were curious. Why curious? Quite obviously, to meet each other, okay, to see each other after such a long gap of time. All right, so that's why they were, so this particular date is no longer, or was no longer, a mere numeral, a mere number. Okay, it actually, so this particular date 1978 becomes significant. Why? Because it becomes a symbolical of curiousness and happiness to meet each other. Okay, so both the poet and his family were waiting with high hopes, with high curiousness, with high anxieties to see each other. All right, so that is why he calls the future as numerals to be curious. Okay, and over here, see, he says your brother too will be strange when next we meet. All right, see, again over here you can see that the poet is aware. Okay, we can understand that he is aware of the transition that has taken place within himself during his stay in England. Okay, he says that your brother too will be strange. Can a brother become strange? No. So why does he say this? Because he feels that there have been quite a number of changes within himself. A transition has taken place. Okay, he is aware of the transition that has taken place within him. All right, new place, new friends, new world. So again, as I said, time changes us. Okay, with time we change, our thoughts change, our ideas change. So similarly, there has been a change, there has been a transition going on within the poet, and he is no longer, he can feel that he is no longer the man with the thoughts and outlooks with which his sister had seen him when he had departed, okay, when he had left for England, right? His family, his sister, they had known him as a man with thoughts and ideas that were not, or that were no longer the same when he was writing this poem, because he had already started staying over there, and as I said, many changes have come through, have come through within him, and that is why he says that your brother will also be strange to you. Now, the thoughts and outlooks that the poet harbors now are very different from the ones that the sister had known him to be with, and that is why he says that time has changed him, molded him into a man with new dreams and new ideas, which might seem to be a bit strange or very, very unfamiliar. Okay, strange over here means unfamiliar to his sister, and thus, or hence, he might seem to be an unknown individual altogether to his sister. Now, once again, see, a poem or a person's thought process can have various perspectives. Okay, so this can be one perspective. Now, there can be another meaning to it. The change that the poet is talking about can also be, in terms of perception and understanding. Okay, the change that the poet talks about may also be a change in the change may also be in understanding. Okay, that is, while the continuity of the ritual is admitted. Okay, the ritual means the ritual of Rakhi. So there is a continuity of that ritual, though the poet is in England and his sister is in India, yet the ritual continues to be celebrated. Okay, so though the continuity of the ritual is admitted, definitely more like a routine, more like a routine that has to be followed every year, thus assuming it to be, so the ritual continues though a routine, okay, that has to be followed every year. So routine, and hence what happens, the ritual is assumed to be a routine acquiescence, okay, a routine acquiescence at an external level, and hence the change, okay, the change that comes in is absolutely more integral at the internal or the mental level, okay, and hence there is a tone, or the tone becomes a little hesitant over here. The poet becomes a little hesitant because he doesn't know how his sister or how his family will accept him, how they will welcome him, how they will appear to be to him. So the tone is a little hesitant over here, okay, and what is more important is that this tone or this portion brings to light the poet's complicated state of mind also. Why? Because you can feel over here, if you read the poem, if you read this portion very closely, you will find that there are feelings of both a distance and an intimacy running through the words over here, okay, and thus this portion reveals or brings to light the poet's complicated state of mind. All right, so this particular portion brings to light the poet's complicated state of mind. Well, so let's just move on to the next stanza and see what he has said over there. So once he talks about these feelings, these emotions, he says that how we must both have changed. Okay, as I said, there is always this acceptance of change going within the poet's mind. He knows it quite well that he has changed, time has changed, and so has his sister changed. Okay, so he says how we must both have changed, only the custom stays, educing from the past the undying days. So this is a feeling, this is an emotion with which the poet wraps up the poem or ends his letter, so to say. So what he actually says over here, first of all, you can feel a very sad and melancholic undertone in the closing stanza, okay, sad and melancholic undertone in the closing stanza. Okay, and this stanza reveals, as I said, the poet's acceptance of his dissociation. All right, it reveals the poet's acceptance of dissociation. He feels that the detachment, okay, the distance, the detachment has brought about a transition in both of them, both in the poet as well as in his sister. All right, so in this paragraph he feels that the detachment has brought about a transition in both of them. On one hand, he is of this feeling now, and on the other hand, it can also be understood that the poet harbors feelings like that, you know, the occasion, this occasion of Rakhi, though it is celebrated in a very haphazard manner, though it is not celebrated in the way it should be, all right, yet he cannot deny the fact that this incident of the arrival of the Rakhi to him becomes a medium of transporting him to the old bygone days, to his old sweet days, all right, and most importantly, it becomes, though it is just a mere custom, though it stands to be a mere custom, yet it doesn't fail to take the poet back to his old days, and it rejuvenates, all right, which is more important is the Rakhi, the incident of the arrival of Rakhi. What does it do? It rejuvenates or brings to life the old memories which are embedded in the poet's heart. All right, so the Rakhi though seems to be just a regular custom that has to be followed every year, no matter how haphazard the process might be, though it seems to be just a regular custom, yet it becomes a medium for the poet to transport him or take him back, transport him to his bygone days. Okay, it as I said, it rejuvenates the memories which are embedded. The occasion brings the deeply embedded memories back to life. So the memories which are embedded within the poet's heart and the memories which crave to be associated with these very simple yet deep emotions of familial bonds. That's why he says, so because the meaning of educing is nothing but to bring to life, okay, to bring up, all right. How we must both have changed. Yes, it's very true that time has changed us, and this custom of Rakhi has also changed its form of practice. Yet I cannot deny the fact that this becomes a medium for me to transport me to the bygone days. It takes me back to the old days and brings to light or rejuvenates the old memories embedded deep within my heart that always crave to be associated with the deep, simple and yet deep emotions of familial bonds. So though he starts the poem with a very I won't say negative tone, but yes, definitely, as I said, that the tone of forgetfulness is over there. Yet he ends the poem, he closes the poem on a very positive note, that no matter how distant we may go from each other, yet the familial bonds, they never get loose, they never get broken with time and distance. All right, so this is a very beautiful poem with which we end our video today. But before ending, I would like to tell you that convey the message to you rather, that on this auspicious occasion of Rakhi this year, please don't forget, and please don't forget to promise each other, both the brothers and the sisters, don't forget that your love, your bond, no matter how distant they might seem to be, they will remain the same, they will continue to be strong, and keep on promising to love and protect each other forever. Okay, so with that, we come to an end of this video. Please don't forget to like and share if you feel that it has been helpful to you. And till we meet the next time, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.